Ecosystem Exchange is the podcast series by T6 Ecosystems that explore different themes shaping our world. Each season spotlights a new focus, bringing together experts for engaging discussions. Through this exchange of ideas, we promote a sense of intellectual exploration, interdisciplinary collaboration, and actionable insights.
Welcome to Ecosystem Exchange, a podcast by T6 Ecosystems, where we explore the intersection of research, innovation, and real life. This episode is part of the series The Power of Art, Science and Technology, an European Perspective. I'm Antonella Passani, Partners and Head of Research at T6 Ecosystem, and today I have the pleasure to have here with me Dr. Chiara Certomà. Welcome, Chiara. Hi. Thanks you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for inviting me.
Chiara is currently a researcher on social geography at the MEMOTEF department of La Sapienza University in Rome. She's the coordinator of the EU-funded project Participatory Art for Society Engagement with Ocean and Water, of which T6 is a partner. The project is funded under the Horizon Mission Ocean Program and links art, science, and citizen engagement for the promotion of ocean literacy. Finally, she is also the coordinator of a research group called Collaboratorium for Socio-Environmental Analysis of the Ocean, COSI, but of many other initiatives. So, Chiara, again, thanks for being here. And before we start talking about this project and the other initiatives you have been involved in, do you mind to introduce yourself? And most importantly, tell us about your journey, how it is that the social geographer works on ocean and works on the intersection between art, science, and citizen engagement.
Thank you very much once again for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And you know, life stories are always very complicated. So I can say that arriving to the ocean is something that changed for everybody, is different for everybody. And my personal story for arriving to the ocean is rooted with my passion for the sea. And I can say that it has to do with some personal memories. And in some way, I can say that the sea saved me from myself. And at the same time, it saved my life when it could have not done this. So it's a kind of personal debt. But aside from my personal engagement, we can say it's an emotional, emotive engagement with the sea. I've always been very intrigued by people who practice innovative, who try to discover innovative paths for practicing social alternatives, finding their way for being in the world and for satisfying the needs that everybody has, and especially the needs that have to do with the collective well-being. And merging together this personal passion for the sea with the academic and research interest for social innovation, social technologies in the very sense of Foucaultian sense, I come to work at the interface between ocean, creativity, art, participation, and science. It's very important to say that I believe, and the people I work with believe, that every research path starts from oneself. As the feminist theory of situated knowledge say, every research, every activity, every way in which we discover the world is situated, embedded, embodied, and placed, not objective. And therefore, we need to declare our positionality before starting. So it's obvious that my research is starting from a precise situation. I'm in the Western academia, and I'm a social geographer that arrived to geography quite late while I was trained as a philosopher of science. And my research path passed through collaborative and participatory process, and then arrived to participatory planning, participatory design, and action for transforming living context, and then arrived to marine social geography, what I called marine social geography as a part of marine social sciences in general. And these include participatory citizen science, critical ocean thinking, and the postmodern geography of material semiotic.
Wow, a lot. I could not be more aligned with you with the fact that we are in the post-standard kind of science, and we are situated human beings that, and we influence our research by the very fact that we pick the subject, we design our research processes, and yeah, and there is always this important personal reason to be in something, and this is the passion that makes us also now study and work together on this topic. It's super interesting to see. You mentioned the collective well-being. You mentioned social innovation technology, and you bridge it out to the epistemological aspect of doing research in a very interdisciplinary way. I can see you working well with artists because of this epistemological background that you just mentioned. But tell us a little bit more about these. Are there specific ingredients that need to be in place in order to make the art-science collaboration impactful and really impactful on this collective well-being that you mentioned? I know you have been doing different projects on these, so tell us what was your experience and what are these ingredients?
Yes, I can say that it's true. There are always ingredients that we need to have on our desk before start working with people, with lay citizens. And the first, we can say, I can say, I'm talking in plural because I'm talking for my research team. We can say that basically the first things that is fundamental in our perspective, learned on the field, is listening. A few years ago, a very well-known philosopher, political philosopher, Andrew Dobson, wrote a book which was called Listening for Democracy, claiming that the listening was the somehow forgotten quality of democratic life. So democracy seems to be connected with the power, the possibility for everybody to speak, but actually another important, equally important point of democracy is listening. And I think this is the first ingredient that it's necessary in participatory research, participatory planning, design, practice. And why is important? It is important because if we don't listen attentively what is going on in specific context where we intend to carry on our research, we just miss any possibility to enter into personal contact with the people we want to engage, we want to work with us. And we risk to do what, unfortunately, part of citizen science and participatory research also did in the past, which was prioritizing academic interest over people's needs. So thinking that what is relevant for scientists is also relevant for lay people, which may be the case, but not necessarily. So you have several occasions in which listening people brings you back fresh, new ideas about what is really important, not in terms of truth, because we are not working with truth, but in terms of opinion, in terms of beliefs, in terms of sensitivities, which are the main ingredients that make a society working. So when as scientists, we are looking for truth and we want people to be engaged with us in the research we plan to do, we are missing something which is very important and which is which is exactly which give exactly the possibility for the research to go on after the end of the official research itself, which is having people really interested, really caring for what you are talking about. So the first thing for whatever participatory process for me, the first ingredient is to listen what's going on and to understand what the potential participants are in need of. Otherwise, you're just bringing your ideas and your knowledge outside of the academia, but without establishing a real contact with the people you want to engage. So we can say that it's not that much about engaging people in research, but rather having research engaged by people. So it's rather the other way around.
And in this picture, where does the art, the artistic or creative aspect enter? Because it's another layer of complexity, I would say, that adds on to the picture. How do you see the role of art and creativities in this process? How was your experience on this?
Well, art and creativity in general are gaining a major importance, a major role in this process of translation, we can say. Translation is one of the most complex elements of the most difficult task that we need to contemplate in research practices, especially when we want to step outside of the academia, as I said. And art and creativity as well as the possibility to make languages, to overcome the linguistic barriers, so to say. So have the possibility to engage people by touching their emotional, their feelings, their emotions, rather than just speaking at their logics, their rational, their minds. So from the one side, art and creativity are very powerful in terms of communication, in terms of transmitting, of exchanging feelings. And this is something that is powerful for bringing people attached to something, to whatever problem we are interested in. And from another side, we can say that art and creativity in general can help us as scientists to discover hidden aspect of a phenomenon we are interested in. And we can say that there are much more things, like in Shakespeare, Hamlet, there are more things in heaven and earth than your philosophy can dream of, something like that, as Horatio was reminded by Hamlet. And that's the same for the researcher. There are more things on the earth than the ones we can logically and rationally be able to keep to maintain and to be attentive to in our research. And art has this possibility of unveiling an unseen reality.
So it's a very rich contribution. So on one hand, the translation, bridging these the potential barrier that a rational or logical driven research idea can have in the front of regular people, and on the other hand, is a door, is a window for the researcher itself to look at things that maybe were not in their radar. This is really nice, but I'm sure it's not that easy or straightforward. So if these are the opportunity on stake, what are the challenges? What are the difficulties that you encounter in this work?
So I think that you're right, it's not so straightforward. Neither when you want artistic production to perform the translation, neither when you want it to, or you expect it to help in the heuristic process, in the process of discovery. The first challenge is, again, the possibility to, or the capacity by all the involved actors to speak each other in a way which is resonant, which is meaningful for everybody. and also to adopt the procedures in the performance of a task or in reaching an objective that are similar for everybody. Because also well, if we think also to the heuristic process, so the way in which we come to know the word, and we analyze the way in which a researcher does it, or the way in which an artist does the same, is totally different. It's completely different. So when we can say that it's quite the opposite, it's quite reverse. An artist starts feeling the object he's interested in, start to have impressions, emotions, and then he creates, he builds on this level. While a researcher, say a scientist in general terms, starts with a rational analysis of the phenomenon. So it's quite the opposite. It can come, I mean, to the same result, or the results can be combined together and ends up with having a more complete view of the phenomenon itself. But the first challenge is finding a common language once again, and defining together the procedure, so the steps to work together. And especially when you are involved, where you are, what we are leading, or we led some processes of these kinds, and we are still doing it. The most tricky point was to put everybody around the table and try to find a common language, common objective, and find a way which is acceptable for everybody for arriving at the same end, for reaching the same goal. It is possible, absolutely, but as every participatory process, it requires spending a lot of time just talking with people, listening, and getting in contact, establishing a personal connection, which is the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah, time is also is a resource that is scarce nowadays for both researchers, citizens, stakeholder, local level, and maybe this is one of the challenges: find the time, giving ourselves the time to talk each other, to listening each other, to develop a common language, as you just said. But and now let's go back to the ocean. So, okay, we have the ingredients, we have researchers, and we have artists. How do you think that this participatory art, or art in general, creativity mixed with research, can help addressing the challenges that our ocean face today? What are these challenges? How do we make this meaningful for citizens, and how really this marriage between art and science can help in the picture?
It's a complex question, because when we come to the ocean, we especially when we do it as social scientists as we are, the first barrier that we face is the relative inaccessibility of the ocean. So the very fact that we are working on something, about something which is partially inaccessible. And this means that the first barrier, both for researcher and artists working with researchers in dealing with the ocean, is to get in contact with the fluid substance of the ocean itself, not from the shore, because on the shore is quite accessible, of course, but when we think about the ocean, the global ocean and the seas, we are talking about something which is massive and cover the entire surface, and is vaster than we can imagine. So the first thing that we can do, an artist, a scientist, and help artists to do, is to make this vastity thinkable for people. Is to somehow to help everybody, including ourselves, able to grasp the fluidity, the turbulences, the continuous movement of the ocean, and staying with the problems that the oceans are facing. We know one of them: increase of temperature, pollutions of different sorts of pollutions, and acidification, etc., and considering that we are working with something which is mutable, turbulent, completely unpredictable, and is also changing its nature, because the intervention of the humans is changing the nature of the natural ocean ecosystems themselves. So the oceans that we come to know up to now, we knew from our scholastic research or studies, is changing. It's something that is not the actual ocean anymore. So you are working with something that changes every time, something that you cannot access. For sure, you cannot go into the depth of the ocean, or you can really partially explore it. And at the same time is so relevant for the global equilibrium that you cannot, just disregard its existence. So artists have the possibility, through creating emotional impact, to make all of these ungraspable elements accessible for citizens, those who live by the sea, but also those who doesn't live by the sea. So this is the first things that art can do. And also, art can be very moving. We have had some experiences in our project in CPAX, which was about a project, European project, about marine pollution. And also another project, a new European Bawas project called Fish Art, that art has the possibility to move people in a way that science is not able to do. So we we helped artists and creative people in local context to perform some artistic experiences about the ocean, and this brought also the institutions to make changes in the context, especially in the coastal areas where the sea meet with the land. So in terms of governance and management, also the art is very powerful because it raises awareness and people start asking about doing something. It makes things public, as Bruno Latour said.
Fantastic. And this is the perfect link with our last question. As you know, in T6 we do research, but we also do, our aim is to maximize the impact of research. And one of the impacts we are aiming for is policy impact. Also, you just said by mixing art, citizen engagement, and research, you can have an impact in stimulating changes at governance level. If you look at the other way around, if you have to talk with policymakers and you can ask them to do something to support the art and science collaboration, what you would ask for? What are the needs for this interdisciplinary work on ocean, but also on other topics to flourish?
I think that one of the most important things that public institutions and local administrations can provide or can engage with to support the relationship between art and science in working on the ocean is space, both physically and metaphorically. So what I heard people asking is space for testing, space for creating, space just for missing. And having dedicated space for it is something which makes things happen, sometimes in a quite unexpected way, and again, unpredictable as the ocean is. And when the public administration understands that this is the crucial elements, offering space which is empty, which is open to creation, open to possibilities, that things just happen themselves. Of course, they have the responsibility to take care of the public spaces or take care of their management, but at the same time, with very few lines, with very few rules, you can, however, as an administrator, provide locations for the transformation to happen in your place. And so I would say that it's not just a matter of physical space, which is important, but especially a matter of metaphorical space. And just giving you a very quick example to conclude about it, we had 1 year ago, together with my research group, we realized a fish art project in a harbor in a coastal city in Italy. And this was intended to create an engagement, a living club with local artists and creatives, and to have at the end of this process a festival on the harbor, on fishermen harbors, which is an economic space basically used just for people for fishing activities. After this event took place 1 year later, one of the biggest cultural organizations in the same location, without any funds, without any support, economic support, decided to reproduce the event on itself. And so invited us as a university, as researchers and practitioners to join them, and invited all the artists that already took part in the festival in the previous year. And so what we saw happening is this: a space that was not conceived as public at the beginning, in the mind of citizens, after our intervention, after artists and scientists' intervention, and the invitation, of course, of citizens to join, became available. So it appeared as a public space in the mind of people. And so they decided to reproduce something over there because they understood, they felt that it's a public space, which was not the case before.
Fantastic. So this is a very important impact, the fact that the reappropriation of spaces, or the liberation of space through engagement and art and research. So thank you a lot for this chat. It's been very nice. I hope our audience enjoyed as we did. And for closing, let's see a future in which we have more spaces and more collaborations, and in which citizens can grasp all the richness and the poetry of ocean, as you brought us today. Your description of ocean was really moving and creative, I would say. So thank you, Chiara.
Thank you very much. That's
all
been a
the
pleasure.
best for the running project, and we hope to have you again in our future podcast in the near future. Have a
Thanks
good day.
again. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.
That's it for this episode of Ecosystem Exchange. If this has sparked your curiosity, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. Follow T6 Ecosystems for updates on upcoming topics, guests, and exclusive insights. You can also visit our website to learn more about the research projects shaping our world today. Thank you for joining the exchange. See you in the next episode.